listener. I am here today with
Hello.
Marie C Erikson. She is a indie author, and has been in both Good Nonsense from the Hannibal Writers Guild and most recently Flippin' Fairies. And we're going to just have a discussion today, and I'm so happy that you were able to join us. We've been planning this for a while, and finally the stars have aligned where we can have a discussion. So I just kind of wanna jump right in if I can. How long have you been writing, and what genres do you prefer?
Yeah, so I think I started writing fan fiction about 10 years ago, and then I started kind of venturing into original writing about 5 years ago, and poetry maybe 2 years ago. So it's kind of a gradual process of trying different things. As far as prose writing, most of what I've written is fantasy or at least some type of speculative fiction. For poetry, I like to try lots of different things.
Yeah. That's the good thing about poetry, though, is that you can experiment with it.
Yeah.
It's, a lot more broad than people give it credit for, I think. So you said you did fan fiction. That gets me excited. So, what did you write fan fiction of?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm trying to keep those two writing areas more separate. I don't want to go in a lot of detail, but like mostly video games because this
Okay.
tends to be what I enjoy playing anyway. So when I'm not writing, it's another one of my hobbies.
Yeah. I love fan fiction. I don't really read it, but I used to write it, and I think it makes very good training wheels for learning like how storytelling works, how character development works, and all of that. And I think not only is it a really good tool for beginning writers, but of course just the creativity and being able to express yourself and play in your own little imaginary world. I really enjoy fan fiction.
Yeah, no, it's nice having like a setting and characters and a plot already there for you. And then so you can kind of change the plot but keep the same setting or, add new characters. But yeah, it's nice having some of the work already done so you can kind of practice doing different things. At least that's what I enjoyed about it.
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah. So tell me about your process. Like what inspires you, and where do you find time to write?
But yeah, I know time is always the constant struggle. Um, and like I said, I joke sometimes that I am not a creative person. I like getting ideas from other places. Like I will see writing prompts online, or that's something that I've enjoyed about like fan fiction communities, that there are a lot of people posting like requests or ideas, or people do exchanges where you write something for somebody else. So that's honestly a lot of my inspiration comes from just kind of things that I have seen. Um, and also I've mentioned that I like writing fantasy, and I think sometimes I like, and you see this in the story that I wrote for the Flippin' Fairies book, kind of taking things from my own life and kind of turning it into a fantasy setting and
Mm-hmm.
kind of taking real life themes and making it more fantastical. As far as time goes, I mean, I have a day job and I have kids, so it's frequently in the evenings. Um, a lot of times I have a few different things I'm working on. I will try to kind of block out time and have like, okay, this is my one goal for the day. I will try to get something done on this particular project.
Yeah.
I My boyfriend recently moved in with me, which has been great. Like that's been really nice in some ways, but I'm having to kind of figure out schedules all over again because frequently the evenings that was like my writing time, but now he's here. So when I spend time with him and I have to figure out how to carve out time for writing too. So
Yeah. When you add someone else into the equation, it creates a whole new dynamic, and you got to find a whole new
yeah.
routine. So, are there any projects right now that you're working on that you can let us know about that you feel comfortable talking about?
Um I've been trying to work on some things for the next volume of the Hannibal Writers Guild anthology. I In the first one I had a short story that was kind of a fantasy crime story.
Okay.
I know my dad compared it to Agatha Christie, and I am working on something else, kind of different fantasy setting, different crime, but kind of something along those lines. I'm hoping to put in the next one. And then I am also kind of looking through poems that I've written and possibly writing some more for that too.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm
genre
not
blending
sure
is
what it's going
great.
to be. Yeah.
Yeah, being able to mix he said it was like Agatha Christie, which is its very own particular genre, but then putting in all the fantasy twists. I love those kinds of blends. And so when you begin a project, do you set out to write to any particular theme, or is that something that just kind of develops as you're writing?
Um, Frequently, yes. A poem that I wrote that recently got accepted for publication. I set a challenge for myself that I want to write a sonnet about skeletons. So that kind of went into it with the theme. I I know some people are discovery writers where they just start with like a, blank Word document and a theme emerges. I'm usually not able to do that. I usually at least have to have an idea, but then sometimes themes will emerge as I'm writing that I didn't plan.
Yeah. I think yeah, I think a lot of writers actually are like that because especially when you have some other themes like the more emotional themes like found family or self
Yeah.
acceptance and things like that. You don't always know that that's what you're doing until you're reading over it and you're like, oh, and it just kind of starts to come out in the process. So when you did the Don't Step in Fairy Rings for Flippin' Fairies, when you were writing that one, did you discover anything about yourself during that writing process?
So I have two answers for that question. I think the first one, so when I was in grad school, I had to do a thesis, and that was long and involved. And my advisor was great. She probably isn't watching this, but she was, she's great. But she's very particular, and I had to do lots and lots and lots of rounds of revisions. And I think at first it was kind of awkward to put so much work into something and then be told, oh, you have to change all these things. I have to change them again.
Mm-hmm.
But after a while, just kind of, you know what? I'll do whatever I need to do. All the emotions gone. Just want to get it done. And so this story was my first experience of being kind of edited with my fiction writing. And I was worried that it would be a lot more difficult emotionally, but honestly, it was kind of the same feeling like, okay, sure, whatever you need me to do, I'll do it. Just, want the story to be in the best shape it can be, want it to be appropriate for the book. So whatever you need me to do, I'll do it.
Okay.
So that was, I guess, kind of nice to learn that, oh, hey, it's actually not as painful as I thought it would be. Um, and also, I have described this story as being about, getting pulled into the Fey realm as a metaphor for trauma, but that's not strictly accurate because the trauma is not a metaphor. The trauma is very real.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more the story is about kind of the experience of like going through something traumatizing, and that's bad enough on its own, but then also dealing with people around you telling you that it's your fault or that it or not believing you.
Yeah.
And that is kind of a theme that I've written about a few different times in a few different ways, and I've learned that it gets easier every time I write about it.
Yeah. So it's kind of cathartic in a way.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And your character in Flippin' Fairies, I also feel throughout the process of the story, not only was she, traumatized with her experience and then with, the pushback that she got from the people around her, but then she was re traumatized by having to go through it with not only herself, but also, another character in the story that, she has to help, who also is traumatized, honestly, by the whole situation. So I think that being forced to go through the trauma again and again was um, it served the story very well. I liked it. And when you were saying earlier that you found that it's easier to do the editing, like you're not as emotionally attached to your story as you were afraid you were going to be, and you found it easy to be edited. That is not me. I am very
Oh,
very attached. I will fight for my darlings as much as I can. Okay. So is there like a format of storytelling that you prefer? Like, do you like novels versus short stories versus poems? Is there one that you really feel gravitated for, get the most enjoyment out of writing?
So I think the longest fiction I've ever written is like 90,000 words. So it's, decent novel length.
Yeah,
But I tend to do more short stories. I think honestly that's kind of the length of my attention span and also free time. Um, and yeah, lately I've been writing a lot of poetry just because it's fun to play around with that
mm,
in different formats. But I don't know, I have made attempts at writing longer original fiction, and that's something that I would like to do at some point. But yeah, lately mostly poetry and short stories.
yeah. I love short stories because you get all the intensity of a full novel, but you have to condense it down into, just like 7,000 words or less. And I love the challenge of being able to put a full plot arc and a full character development arc in such a small amount of space. I really enjoy that.
Yeah, and I think novels, if you're writing or reading about a novel, it's about a lot of different things, and a short story is usually about one thing, and that
Yeah, you
it's
can
limited, but that's a
zoom
good
in.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah, you can zoom
yeah,
in and focus on just that one thing. And yeah, where as opposed to novels, you have to kind of meander all around because you got to do it for 90,000 words. So, do you think about the audience while you're writing, like what an audience person might like, or do you let that influence you at all in the process?
it depends. I have written things for people, like as gifts sometimes. In that case, yeah, definitely. I'm trying to think about what they would enjoy, or if I am writing something to be submitted, I'm trying to think about, what the brief is and what they're looking for. But sometimes, yeah, we'll just have a random idea and I write it and then throw it out in the world and see what
Mm.
people think.
Yeah, yeah. So just kind of depends on what you're working on. All right, so now when we're talking about, I always like to ask every single time I have an author on here, I also like to ask technical questions because I think it's
Right.
fascinating all the different writing programs that are available and the software that's available. So for you, what software do you prefer using? Like Google Docs, MS Word, Scrivener? What do you gravitate towards?
I use Scrivener for prose and I've been using Ellipsis for poetry. Before I usually just used to use the like notes app on my phone,
Yeah,
but yeah, I like Ellipsis because it's pretty accessible in both browser and mobile, so it's good for things like kind of working out a poem wherever I happen to be.
yeah. Having that's so big nowadays because people spend so much time outside of the home on like at jobs or running errands or whatever. So being able to write, wherever you are is a big benefit. Do you have any plans in the future to self-publish, or are you planning to query and try to get with like another publisher, small publisher, mid-sized? Any? What are your goals with that?
I'm Yeah, I'm pretty intimidated by self-publishing. As of right now, yeah, plans are querying. And then just yeah, I've been submitting things to small publishers like you and um thought about trying to get um get an agent in the future if that's I don't know, I'd need to get something longer written first that I feel like I could kind of try to pitch to them, but yeah, that's kind of more traditional publishing slash indie publishing is probably the route that I would go as opposed to like self-publishing.
Yeah. There is a lot that goes into self-publishing. I think a lot of people kind of ignore that and feel, oh, it's so easy. You can just slap it up on Amazon and it's fine. But there's so much more that goes on behind the
Yeah.
scenes with it, and especially if you want to make sure that you have like the best product, because when you're publishing for an audience, it becomes a product, And yeah, just making sure you have the best one out there. There's a lot more than just hitting upload on on a platform. Um,
Yeah, and I know some people do that and they love it and they thrive, but I don't think that aligns with my skill set or interests, honestly.
yeah, querying's gonna be fun. Have you done research as far as like how to find an agent, how to craft a query letter to catch attention, and things like that?
Um, yeah, that's something I've done research on off and on because it's kind of things I've been thinking about and slowly working on off and on for years.
Yeah, it's I know that it's
I know,
it's
like,
hard out.
yeah,
I've
yeah,
and but it kind of depends on what you're querying and how the market trends are at the time that you're querying, because you have some people that query for 3 years before they get an agent, and then you have other people that have only queried for like 3 months and get picked up. So you can luck out. It kind of depends on it. It seems so random.
yeah. Like you said, it's kind of the market is wanting what you're writing or not.
hmm so since you don't have plans to self-publish, have you ever considered like doing any marketing on your own, or have you already tried doing some self-marketing?
Honestly, no, that's one of the big reasons why I'm not interested in self-publishing because I know marketing is a big part of that and that
Mm.
really scares me. Like I hate even just if I have to cold call people, I hate having to do that. Um, yeah, and I realize that honestly, even being traditionally published involves marketing and just the process of querying is in and of itself kind of marketing yourself and what you've written.
Mm.
So I realize that that's a skill that I'll probably have to develop kind of as I progress in my writing career, but that's something that I'm trying to minimize.
Yeah, and the good thing is, if you get picked up by a traditional publishing company, um, you do still have to do some marketing on your
Yeah.
own, but they give you a lot of resources and like guides to help you market. So you still don't feel like you're out there all by yourself trying to grind away on your own. All right. So, do you do like signing events, vendor events? Do you do any appearances anywhere?
Um, I'm usually at the Hannibal Steampunk Festival. I wasn't this year, but I have been, and I'll usually sign stuff there. I think also you were asking about upcoming events. I don't know if it's an event per se, but I have a couple poems that are going to be published in like the Red Penguin annual poetry collection anthology, and it's coming out in November 2025. I don't know when in November, but it might be out by the time this interview is up.
Oh, okay, great.
So that's
Yeah.
something that I'm kind of excited about.
Yeah, if when that releases, just send me a line and I'll post about it, cuz yeah, I
Okay.
definitely want to support every author I can. I want to support them. And no, that sounds great. I've actually heard of Red Penguin before. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think you post I don't know, you posted it on Discord or something. I think you mentioned that they were looking for submissions for this poetry anthology, and that's how I actually found out about
Oh,
it.
great. Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
just
thank you. Yeah,
I post
that was
so
exciting.
many links, I can't remember all of them, because if I find an open call or a resource or something that I think would really help people, I do try to share it. So I'm glad that something I posted helped you.
Yeah.
All right. So, where do you have any of your short stories or poems publicly posted anywhere at the moment?
I guess yeah, that was maybe an answer to that question. Like, you can find some of my poems in this anthology that's about to be published. And otherwise, no, I don't think I have anything publicly posted. I keep hearing that you should get an author website earlier in your career than you think you should. So
Mm-hmm.
that's probably something that I should work on. But as of now, no, I try to avoid social media because it seems to be not the best for my mental health and getting stuff done.
100% agree on that. I try to minimize how long I am on there, because I will start doom scrolling, and it's all you
Yeah,
get
yeah.
too much negativity and it's not fun. As far as authors needing websites before they're ready, there are authors that can do just fine without a website. It really depends on like how present you want to be, and since you don't have like you're not a big fan of doing the social media, a small website might actually help you out because it'll at least have a landing page where people can find your links to, where the books that you've been published in are. And that way you won't have to like be doing all the posting on, this
Yeah.
platform and that platform. But they're not like required, and you can certainly find plenty of platforms and websites that are for free, so that you don't have to spend an arm and a leg just to have an Amazon link on there.
Yeah, free is nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so with that being said, do you have any links or websites or anything where people can find your books right now?
No, just the you mentioned the two anthologies that I have things in, and also Red Penguin, that one's coming up, and I can send you that information too.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, and if I can promote something,
Oh,
if
absolutely.
not myself, then uh local humane society, quincyhumanesociety.org. They're a no-kill shelter. It's their I don't know what decade anniversary, but they've been open for a long time and they've been trying to raise money. So if you want to go there, you can look at pictures of cute animals that are available for adoption, maybe send them some money.
All right. Yeah. I love cute animals. So, yeah, I would definitely post a link to that below. And I will also post link to Good Nonsense and Flippin' Fairies. That way, yeah, people can check you out and I think that's all I have then. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you so much for being here with me today and having this discussion. It's always a joy being able to talk to another creator, and I look forward to reading your poetry when it releases.
Yeah. Thank you. It's good to talk to you.
Thank
Thanks.
you.